Welcome to a full day in my kitchen. I thought this would be a nice spin on what I eat in a day because I'm not showing everything that I eat, and some of the things I make are not for me, but this is everything for the most part that I made in my kitchen. Starting off at around 5 a.m., I preheating my oven to bake off the sourdough that I made the day before. I'm looking through this Art of Sourdough book that my parents-in-law actually got me for Christmas. It's very cool, something I didn't put on a Christmas list. I love when people get me something that I didn't specify that I wanted, but it's just perfect for me. I think it's very thoughtful. So I was looking through that, and I definitely need to work on my scoring, but we're working on it. So I waited for the oven to actually get up to 500 degrees, and then once it's up to 500 degrees, I let the pot stay in there for like an additional 20-30 minutes or so, and then I baked off the sourdough. I'm also realizing I didn't even say hi or anything. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm not sure when I'm posting this video. My name is Nicole. I am a stay-at-home mom to a baby and a toddler. My toddler is 26 months if you want to be exact, and my baby is 6 months old. On my channel, I share vlogs, mom tip videos, reviews, podcast style videos on mental health. So if you're interested in any of that, make sure you subscribe. I baked off the sourdough, took the lid off for the actual browning part, and popped it back in. I'm trying to film this or record this whole voiceover in one go, so we'll see how much I have to cut off. The sourdough was all done, I think around 6:30. Let's see. 6:35. There's a time. So pull that out, left it on a little cooling rack just to make sure that it stays crispy. I realized that this works better than moving it directly to a plate or a cutting board, which is what I used to do before. And then by this time, I could hear that Lev was awake. He wasn't sad. He was just playing in his crib. But I do like to get him because I'm always worried that he's going to wake up Jude. Corey always just leaves him and is not worried about it, but I get worried. So I got my sweetest boy, and he helped me make my little morning latte. I got this little espresso cup from Target. Is it necessary? No. But I just feel like you can make anything you do at home an experience. I guess this goes all along with that romanticize your life type of deal. And look, I taught my baby how to make my coffee. I'm kidding. He's only 6 months old. But if anyone was going to do it, I probably could do it. And Lev is very smart. Anyway, so I think you're allowed to make anything you do at home a special moment, and getting a little espresso cup, getting some ice cubes that you like. I've been making my iced coffee in a mug, and I actually love it. It's cozy in some weird way. And so yeah, I add my espresso on top of some, I think I did almond milk, and then I decide to foam up my creamer. I did too much creamer. This coffee was so sweet. Normally I measure it out, but I was holding Lev. Basically, motherhood is just learning how to do everything with one hand, because you just are always holding a baby, and I love it. It's so special. It's difficult at times, but a very special and the best stage in my life so far, and probably forever. Next, after feeding Lev, I can see the time in the background, I think it's 7 something, I decided to make some carrot oat pancakes for Lev and Jude, because Jude has decided she likes these. It's very funny to me that she likes them. You can basically personalize this recipe any way you like it. Sometimes I just do it with banana. I've done it with sweet potato. Every time I make this, Jude thinks I'm making a smoothie, so she brings over a cup to try and get some. This time I made it with carrots. The recipe is 1 cup of oats, and I did probably a cup or so of shredded carrots, and then ended up having to do about a half a cup of milk. I always add the milk, blend it, and then if I need to add more, I can. Lev was actually eating the last one that I made the day before. The day before this, I made 10, and between Lev and Jude, they ate all of them, so I was let me make them again. And then an egg and some cinnamon, and I think that was it. Oh, I added 2 dates since carrots aren't that sweet. I took a bite to see what they taste like, so I was surprised that Jude was still interested in them, and they're actually pretty good. I showed that I was washing some dishes because for the most part, when I'm in the kitchen, anytime there's some stagnant cooking going on, I'm gonna do something else. I'm not just gonna sit there. I always make fun of Corey because when he's cooking, when something's actually on the stove, he just sits there and stares at it. And I think it's so funny. I put the pancakes in a little reusable Ziploc bag, and then I freeze them, and then I just pop them in the toaster when I need them for the babies. Judah's actually been going in the freezer and grabbing them herself, so she loves them. I think she thinks they're cookies. Next, when I got back from my workout, I went to a solid core class. Corey had put Lev down for a nap, and he was still sleeping, so I said, let me get started on some sourdough rolls. Jude girl was helping me put some eggs away because I hopped over to where I go to Solid Core is like in the same shopping center as Whole Foods. So I hopped over to get some eggs because we run through eggs very quickly. And then I needed yeast and I think something else, but now I don't remember. Anyway, I'm getting started on these rolls. This recipe is from Taste of Lizzie. I think that's right. I'm gonna leave it linked down below if I remember. I think I said that in one of my previous videos and I forgot to link it down below. But this is not my own recipe. It's pretty easy. You can see me looking at my phone. I would love to get to the point where I know the sourdough roll recipe by heart because I just think it makes it so much more fun to make things when you already know how to do it. That's why I actually like cooking more than baking, because cooking you can just kind of do your own thing. Like if you're off here and there, it's fine. Versus with baking, you have to be exact. So you kind of have to memorize the exact measurements, which I've done for sourdough bread. I've been making sourdough bread long enough that I just know all the measurements. I don't have to look back at my phone, and that's really nice. But I'm not at that point with these rolls. Corey's like, you should just make these every week and you'll get to that point. So if you don't know, Corey loves bread, all forms of bread. And this recipe is also a really good way to use up a lot of sourdough discard, which I love. You can see that I ended up using up everything that I had because this recipe takes a full cup of sourdough discard. Other sourdough discard recipes that I really love is I have one for discard waffles. I'm trying to think of who that recipe is from. Let me look it up real quick. Little Spoon Farm, yeah. Sourdough. I had to take a second because I just placed our grocery pickup for the week and something was out of stock and I could not talk while picking a substitution. Little Spoon Farm has a lot of sourdough discard recipes. I love her sourdough discard waffle recipe. We make that a lot. There's also a brownie one. I also use her pizza crust recipe. Any way I can figure out how to use sourdough discard, I do, because when you make sourdough, you have a lot of discard. I actually keep my starter in the fridge most of the time, so I don't have like daily discard that I feel like is a lot. I'm not sure how people are using that much discard. I guess if you had a really big family. I'm showing adding the flour to the roll dough because something you do need to learn when you're making something like this recipe where you're using discard, and some people's discard would be more runnier, some would be less runny. You have to know how much flour to add, and especially as you're kneading, you don't want to add too much flour and then it's not great, and then you don't want to add too little and then it's too sticky. I think so far this is the best rolls I've made. I made this recipe on Thanksgiving and they're super good. Then I made them on Christmas and I think I was just rushing and doing something. I don't know. I was rushing. I was going back and forth between feeding Lev and they just ended up not great. Once the dough had all come together, I loosely covered it with plastic wrap. You don't want to use, like, so in the background you can see that I have my little sourdough cover. You don't want to use that because for this recipe you do need it to breathe, because most of the leavening is actually coming from the quick yeast instead of the sourdough since you're using discard. Anytime you're using discard in a recipe, you're not actually getting like the raising feature from it. You're actually getting more like the fermentation. You're going to get a little bit of the leavening properties from the sourdough, but not as much. So usually in discard recipes, you'll see either the addition of yeast, you'll see baking powder, baking soda, some kind of other leavening. Now I'm separating the rolls into the dough into 12 rolls. I do like to take my kitchen scale out and measure them out so they're around the same amount of grams. I think each one of these ended up being around like 75 or so. It's not really a necessary step. I just think it looks better when they're more uniform. You could definitely skip this if you don't have a kitchen scale. But actually, if you're making any sourdough recipes or baking in general, just pick a scale up. You can get one for like less than $10 and it does make baking more exact. Put these to do their final rise and Lev was hungry and I took a shower. That doesn't matter. That's not what this video is about. Lev was hungry, but I did not feel well because by this point it was like 11:30 and I hadn't eaten and I was like, I need to get something in me, and I had already worked out. So I quickly made a smoothie. I didn't show the full smoothie recipe because I just showed this recipe in my last vlog. I'm not going to say I'm not ever going to show this recipe again, but I felt like I didn't need to show it again that quickly. Jude always steals my smoothie and because she thinks everything I have is for her, but I did share with her because I always share with my best girly. Putting the rolls in after about another 30-40 minutes of rising, and while the rolls were cooking, I decided to just whip up some cookies. This is something that my mom did growing up. Like if the oven was on, she's like, well, might as well just make something else. I don't know if this is true, but I guess she thought that like if you turn the oven off and on and off and on, it would waste electricity, gas. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I said the oven's already on, let's just use it again. So I made some cookies. The rolls are still cooking by the time I finished the cookies, and so I put the dough in the fridge and it was fine. The rolls came out so yummy. The cookies did not come out the best. Corey says they're really good. Right now, I'm actually doing like a no dessert thing, so I couldn't try them, but I didn't want them to get super flat like they did. For the rolls, I had mine with just some sharp cheddar cheese and then this oven roasted turkey that you're seeing. I think Corey just had his with cheese. G just had hers with cheese. I wanted to make sure I got a fair amount of protein in, again, because I had worked out that day and only had a smoothie, which is not very smart. I need to get better at that. But yeah, it was very yummy. I served mine with some baby carrots. You can hear Jude talking in the background because she hears me talking. So she says, "Where's mama?" It's morning right now. These are the cookies turn out. Corey says they taste good. I didn't want them to be this flat, but they kind of remind me of like a Tate's cookies. Yes, Miss Girl. Of a Tate's cookies type of style, like very thin, but they're not crunchy like Tate's cookies, if you know that brand. Corey demolished these rolls. He loved them. Good morning, sweet girl. Moving on to dinner. This was the last thing I made in the kitchen today. I made, hot. I made penne alla vodka, which once you get all the ingredients together for this recipe, it's super easy. I follow the Gigi Hadid recipe, which online, there are like 10 different versions of it. So you just kind of do your thing. You're blowing the candle out. Thank you, Miss Girl. This recipe comes together pretty quickly and it's so yummy. It is so good. I'm not even like a huge pasta girly, but this recipe in particular is so yummy. Comes together in like 10-15 minutes or so. And that is my full day in the kitchen. Here I am taking some shots for the thumbnail. Depending on the feedback I got in this video, maybe I'll do another one during the week. This happened to be a Saturday, so I had a little bit more room to be in the kitchen because Corey's home and able to help with the babies. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful and I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.